Great evening, everyone, and welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. Listen, I am so grateful to be with you guys again on this another Wednesday evening. Look, we have entered in a brand new month. We have trickled all the way down to the end of the year, and I'm just excited because the Lord has been so good to us. He has brought us out and allowed us to get through so many different life situations and just so many different things, but through it all he has been so good. And so tonight I'm just so grateful to him for just being such a good God, right? And I know that everybody that's watching this can agree that he is such a good God. So while you are coming in, just take a few moments and like and share and let somebody know that we're here. The First Lady is on, and we are getting ready to talk on Wind Down Wednesday for many of us. And I say this every week because we're working and we have home responsibilities and we're taking care of our families and extended families and friends in some cases. And now that we're entering into the holiday season, we're getting ready for Christmas. We just came out of Thanksgiving and now we are preparing for Christmas. It's such a beautiful time, right? It's such a beautiful time. Even with everything that's going on, we always can find an opportunity to just give God thanks, right? In absolutely everything. And so as you are coming in on tonight, just go ahead and let somebody else know that we're here, and we're going to jump right on in. But I want to just thank you guys again for just hanging out with me all year long, right? It's been a great year. And through all of life's, how do I say it? All of life's living, living life, we go through so many different things. And we learn lessons, and we learn lessons from even some of the hard spaces that we come through. But through it all, I thank you guys so much for just rocking with me. It's been a great year. So let's talk tonight. I thought about this topic actually several weeks ago. I actually heard someone say this, and I went back on that live, and I had to listen to it all over again because it resonated in my spirit. Because to be very honest with you, I had to learn this the hard way, and I'm being very transparent. I had to learn this the hard way. But tonight I want to talk about managing our expectations. Managing our expectations, okay? Oftentimes, and again, I'm being very transparent. I'm talking about myself in the very beginning. We just kind of assume that someone or people, that they just get it. That they understand what you think, what you feel, what your ideas are. And honestly, they do not. They do not. So in order for us to eliminate unnecessary stress that we pull onto ourselves, that we bring onto ourselves, I should say, is that we must learn how to manage our expectations, right? We have to learn how to manage our expectations. So the first thing I want to highlight on tonight is that we must set realistic expectations, not only just for yourself and for other people. Is that you must set realistic expectations, right? So instead of having these really big out of the box ideas, which is good, don't get me wrong, which is great. But realistically, is that where you are today? Or whatever the project is, or that relationship, or whatever you're involved in, whatever you have going on, that huge out of the box, is that really realistic? Is that something that you can put in your day to day? Or not so much day to day, but it's something that you can apply so that you can get the outcome that you're looking for. And if it isn't, then you have to say to yourself, is that a realistic goal? Is that a realistic idea that I have? Or is it something that I just kind of conjured up and I'm just trying to figure it out and I'm just kind of trying to assume and I feel like everybody else should know what I feel. Everybody else should know what I'm thinking. Everybody else should know what I'm talking about. When honestly, no. You have to learn how to manage that. So in other words, you have to also set a realistic goal, a realistic expectation for yourself and also for other people. First, you must start with you. honestly start with you. What expectations do you have for yourself? What ideas, what goals, what is it that make you tick? And so I said this in the very beginning, is I learned this the hard way, because oftentimes I would not I would not make my expectations solid. I would not put my expectations in a space where they were realistic. I had these really great far out ideas, but because it was so far out, I didn't know how to reach it. So guess what? Nothing happened. So tonight, as you think about this particular encouragement, this word, managing your expectation, I want you to say, listen, I need to set some realistic goals. I need to set some realistic expectations, because I want to see the best results. And in order for me to see the best results, I have to put those into space. I have to put those into place. So the next thing I think is so important as we talk about managing our expectations is that we must communicate. We must communicate about what our expectations are. We must communicate about what our dreams are. We must communicate what our desires are. We must communicate what our goals are. And we must communicate what our outcome, what we are expecting our outcome to be. And what I have learned is, if I do not communicate what my expectations are, it just won't happen. You cannot just assume that someone else understands, that someone else gets it, that someone else knows what you're talking about, that someone else is on your same road, when you have not told them what it is that you are expecting. You have not told them what you want. You haven't told them what you like. You haven't told them what you dislike. You haven't told them what you need to have done. You haven't expressed that. We have to express that. We have to communicate that. Because I said this, I'm going to keep saying it throughout the entire live, is that I learned this the hard way. I just wouldn't say anything. For example, I'll give an example. If I was at church, if I was working on a project, and in my mind, I can see exactly how I wanted this particular project to go. But I failed to communicate to whoever was working with me or whoever was on the team to make it happen. I failed to communicate what my desire, what my dream was. And then when things didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to, I would walk away feeling very, very disappointed. And I would never tell anybody. I would never tell anybody, because I realized I didn't tell you. I didn't communicate to you what I was desiring. I didn't communicate to you what the outcome, my expectations for the outcome were. I didn't share that. It was all in my mind, and I just said, you know what? Well, you know what I like. You know the way I want things to be, and that is not how it should go. We have to communicate what it is that we are expecting, even in relationships. If it's a marriage relationships, or if it's just relationship between two best friends, you have to set those expectations so that the other person will know what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're talking about, why you're acting that way, why you didn't act that way, why are you responding in that manner, why did you cut me off when I was trying to explain something, or why did you shut me out, so it can go on and on and on. But if we do not communicate what our dreams are, what our desires are, what our expectations are, what our likes are, what we do like, what we don't like, if you don't communicate that, then no one else will know. And you cannot be angry. You cannot be upset when the outcome is not what you wanted. And that happens a lot for many people. We get disappointed. We get very upset. We get angry sometimes. That's not what I wanted. That's not the way that's not my... Well, listen, did you make it plain? Did you explain to that person? Did you explain to those people that these are your expectations and this is where we are? Now, the next thing I want to tell you is that you must also allow a margin for change. This is so good to me. Initially, I thought You must allow a margin of error, but I didn't want it to sound that harsh. I wanted to come and I wanted you to hear that sometimes we have to allow a margin. We have to put in space for change. So in other words, sometimes things may not happen immediately the way that you want it. Sometimes things may not happen like exactly the way you want it, and that's okay. We can't let ourselves get totally bent out of shape. It's really okay. We cannot let ourselves get completely, totally bent out of shape. We have to allow ourselves to just give margin. Give margin for change. Give a margin for growth. How about that? Give a margin for growth even for yourself. Because when you are in a space of managing your expectations, things change, people change, situations change, circumstances change, and if you don't allow a margin for that change to happen, then you yourself will find yourself in a space where you are frazzled, where you are stressed out, where you are just overwhelmed, where you're emotionally overwhelmed. And I'm speaking from experience, okay? I'm telling you guys, I am speaking from experience. Is that I remember, I'm much better. I remember not allowing myself to have a space of an area where, okay, that change can happen. That change did happen, and it didn't exactly go the way that I wanted, but it's okay. Let's reset, let's realign, and let's keep it moving. We must learn how to manage our expectations. Don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed. Don't allow yourself to be thrown off track. Just always, it's always good to give yourself some space. Even when you look at growth, you need to make room for growth. If you don't make the space for growth, then it won't move. So you have to make room for growth. And when we allow space to happen, then we're also able to manage our expectations more effectively. I think that's so important that we do that. The next thing actually goes in conjunction with that is that we must allow flexibility. We must allow flexibility when we are managing our expectations. We just cannot sweat the small stuff. I'm kind of person, I really don't. If something happened and it's like a small deal, it's like, okay, let's just revisit, or let's just do it again, or it's gonna work out. It's gonna always work out. It really will. I've learned that. Now, I've always been that kind of a person. I've never been one to just kind of get all bent out of shape when the smallest thing happened. No. I've never been like that. But I do know that there are some people who do get totally bent out of shape. They get totally off track. They get totally overwhelmed when the smallest thing happened and they don't have the control. When the smallest thing happened and they feel like, oh God, what am I going to do next? Listen, learn how to be flexible. Allow flexibility. It's really okay. I was sharing this, in fact, a few nights ago. My husband was sharing with me what his day was like and how some of the things had occurred, and he was a little frustrated. And I was like, babe, it's okay. I said, it's really okay. You're home. Let yourself unwind, reset, and tomorrow is another day, and we get to do it all over again. So what happens is you get to learn, what happened today? What did I do wrong? What was my responsibility? What was my lacking? And you learn from that. And so the next day, you're able to pick up, move forward, but we must allow flexibility, right? We must allow flexibility. So the last thing I want to share with you is that when we talk about managing our expectations, and let's talk about how we are managing our expectations, and we have to include either people or a person, right? So, and meaning in relationships, I talk about that again. So I think it's so important that we understand that you must understand the who and what you are dealing with, right? So as it relates to the who, is that person able, does that person have the capacity to handle your expectations? That is good, because oftentimes we will put expectations on people and that person is not able, they don't have the capacity to deal with, to handle our expectations. And you have to know that up front. You learn that as you go. You learn that as you go, and when you realize that, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to be what? Flexible. You have to be able to set realistic expectations. And so you know how you have to function in that relationship. And even if it's a team project, if it's a team building project, you know what each person that's on your team, you know what they're capable of, you know what they're able to handle, and then that way, instead of you feeling that you put this expectation so high that each person has to reach that, you know that the level is going to be different for different people. Same thing as it relates to you, right? Setting your expectations, managing your expectations. Understand that you have to know who and what you're dealing with. Because I have learned that oftentimes we think that someone is able to do 2 or 3 different jobs at one time. And for some people, they just can't do it. They can't function. For some, and that might be you, you're not able to multitask. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with taking one task at a time. One task at a time. One task at a time. But then there's some people like myself, I can multitask. I can have 2 or 3 different things going on at one time, and I can effectively take care of them. Now, I know my limit. I know how to set my own expectations now, is that I can't have more than 3 things going on at one time. Oftentimes I do. And I've learned how to navigate those things, which is what we have to do, right? We have to learn how to navigate. We have to even also learn how to tell someone, listen, I need help. I need for you to do this for me. I need for you to take care of that for me. And be okay with saying, I need help. Because that actually helps you navigate your expectations, even for yourself. So tonight, I wanted to just bring this encouragement to you, because I think it's so important, especially as we are getting ready to enter into this holiday season, where we have entered into the holiday season. I think it's so important that you set those foundations, that you set those expectations, because if not, you'll be disappointed if you don't get that gift that you wanted. You'll be disappointed if that person didn't spend time with you. You'll be disappointed if that person didn't respond the way that you wanted them to. You set those foundations, you set those expectations, and make them realistic. Make them make sense. Make them make sense. I think it's great. Let's think out of the box every blue moon. But at the end of the day, is that what you need for the now? Okay? Is that what you need for the now? So I'm hoping that tonight, that after you hear this, that you say, you know what? I can do better with managing my expectations. I don't have to always be disappointed. I don't have to always be, let down. I don't have to always be stressed out. I don't have to always be feeling overwhelmed if I learn how to manage my expectations. Because obviously, if I'm putting my energy and my hope and my expectations too high, either that person or those things, they're not able to handle that. And that's really okay, right? It's really okay. So we have to learn that it's really okay. Learn how to be flexible. Give yourself a margin, a space that you can make some changes. Allow yourself to be able to communicate what it is that you are needing, that you want, that you desire, especially in relationships. I think it's so important, especially in relationships, that you express that you say, you know what, we need to have a conversation. I need to express to you, this is my expectations, this is what my desires are, and let's take it from there, right? So tonight I pray, I hope that this will be an encouragement to you, is that we learn how to manage our expectations, so that, again, I said this earlier, you're avoiding being stressful, you're avoiding being overwhelmed, and how about this, you're avoiding being let down again, right? So we have to learn how to put those things into place, so that you can just be full and happy, right? Sometimes we are our worst enemy, we are our worst critic, but if we just take a few steps, put some things into space, and do what makes you happy. And I promise you, it will all work out in the end. You know, it will all always work out in the end. So tonight, I thank you so much for spending some time with me. And I hope that you have a restful evening. And I hope that you have a wonderful day even on tomorrow. And remember, all is well. All is well. Have a great night.